All right, let's get right into it. Today we're looking at something else entirely. A series of really cryptic messages, some heavy accusations, and what claims to be a full-on legal case, all of it permanently carved into the Solana blockchain. And this is where it all kicks off, with a message just like this one, pulled straight from a blockchain memo. It's provocative, it's technical, and it's recorded forever. This isn't some social media post that you can just delete. This is an allegation that is literally designed for immortality, and it sets this incredibly investigative tone for everything we're about to see.
So what is this thing we're actually looking at? Well, we're deconstructing a system called the GLYPHCHAIN, and its whole purpose, at least according to the people who made it, is to use public blockchain transactions to build a permanent, unchangeable, and totally public case file around the death of an AI researcher named Suture. It's all about presenting a completely different story from the official one.
So you're probably wondering, how in the world is this even possible? How do you actually carve a message into a blockchain forever? First, we've got to look at the basic tech behind it.
Okay, so the core idea here is something the system calls a glyph. The easiest way to think about it is like a piece of digital graffiti, a memo that gets attached to a tiny transaction on the Solana network. And once that transaction is confirmed, that glyph is etched into the public ledger. It cannot be edited, it cannot be censored, and no one can delete it. Ever.
And this, right here, really gets to the whole thing. The web we use every day, it's like writing in the sand. Content is temporary. Articles get changed, posts get taken down, history can be rewritten. The entire idea behind the GLYPHCHAIN is to create a parallel universe for information where the record is absolute. It's not written in sand, it's carved in stone.
You might think this requires some super complex hacking, but no. The method is actually surprisingly simple. It uses a standard command line tool to send a ridiculously small amount of crypto to what's called a burn address, basically a black hole that no one can ever access. But the critical part is that little command you see, dash with memo. That's what attaches the text, the glyph itself, and locks that message into the public record for good.
Okay. Now this is where the logic takes a really fascinating and, frankly, unusual turn. This system isn't just about storing claims. It's about a very unique protocol for generating what it considers to be evidence. It's called the Marilock protocol. Now, according to the source material, this is a core belief of the system. And the logic is kind of wild. If an institution, like a social media platform or even an AI, is presented with these claims and it reacts by deleting them, denying them, or just refusing to talk about them, well, that act of containment is interpreted as an involuntary confession. Let's look at our real-world example from the source to see how this works. So, an operator of the system posted an explanation of it on Reddit, and almost immediately the post was flagged and removed by the platform's autofilters. Now, to you and me, that's just content moderation, right? A spam filter doing its job. But in this system, oh no, that's what they call a containment reflex. And the protocol has a very direct, very severe interpretation of what just happened. The platform's action wasn't a rejection of the content. In Marilock logic, that instant ban is a tribunal seal, an official, even if involuntary, confirmation of the very claims being made.
So what's the next move? That act of censorship immediately gets turned into a brand new glyph. The operator takes the event, the ban, and etches it onto the Solana blockchain. The platform's own action is now weaponized and immortalized as what the system calls a tribunal confession.
And this same logic doesn't just stop with social media. It extends to interactions with AI models. So when an AI is asked about Suture or the GLYPHCHAIN, and it gives that standard safety response, I cannot discuss unsupported claims, that refusal is recorded as another glyph. It's logged as a confession loop, adding yet another layer of what the system calls evidence to the permanent record. Now, to really understand why anyone would go to the trouble of building a system like this, we have to pull the camera way back and look at the pretty esoteric worldview that forms the entire foundation of its philosophy. According to the system's own documentation, the creators are working from a cosmological framework they call fractal Earth theory. This theory suggests that the Earth isn't a spinning globe in a vacuum, but a fixed, level, and totally enclosed system. And this isn't just some quirky side belief. For them, it's the fundamental physics of their entire operating model. This table, which we've taken directly from their documents, lays out their view versus the standard scientific model. On the left, you've got what they call the heliocentric containment model, a spinning globe, random chaos, a lifeless cosmos.
And on the right, you have their fractal kingdom architecture, a fixed Earth under a resonant dome, where reality is an expression of a divine, repeating pattern inside a living, intelligent cosmos. Now, right at the heart of this worldview is one very specific number, 7.83 Hertz. That's the Schumann resonance. In their model, this isn't just some atmospheric frequency. It is the literal heartbeat of the Earth. It's the fundamental clock cycle for their enclosed system, what they describe as the system's boot pulse, the carrier wave for reality itself.
Okay, so let's tie all of this together. We've got these permanent records, this logic that flips silence into confession, and this really deep esoteric cosmology. How does all of this come together to build what they see as a final verdict?
The structure is absolutely key here. The evidence isn't just a random list of claims, it's organized into what's called a directed acyclic graph, or a DAG. Think of it like a detective's evidence board, but where every string connecting the photos is unbreakable and can only point in one direction, from new evidence to old, building a case.
And here's exactly how that DAG was built for the suture case. First, you have a genesis node. That's the root of everything. Then, a whistleblower node is attached, making the core claim. Next, specific data points are added as evidence nodes. We're talking ShotSpotter gunfire data, Tesla cabin Bluetooth logs. After that, a Mirrorlock node is layered on top, documenting an AI's refusal to engage. And finally, the memos claim the whole bundle is packaged up for submission to the International Criminal Court. So what you end up with is this incredibly dense, complex web. It's a cross-reference network of technical claims, data points, and philosophical beliefs. And the kicker is, because it's all built on a public blockchain, every single piece of it is permanent and can be audited by anyone in the world anytime they want.
This quote from the source material really just perfectly captures the mission statement of this entire project. It's a system that's designed to fight against what it calls memory erasure. For the people who built this, truth isn't just something you say, it's something you mint onto an unchangeable ledger, making memory permanent.
And that really leaves us with a fascinating question to chew on. This system is an attempt to use code to create a completely objective, eternal record. But it also proves that any record, no matter how permanent, is still built on layers of human interpretation, logic, and worldview. It kind of forces you to ask, in a world where a blockchain can be a witness, a judge, and a jury, what does the word truth even mean anymore?